after 20 hours dancing just on average dance. You had a problem. I know.
Hi guys.
I'm agreeing with you.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us this week for our meeting. Before we get started, we have a couple of quick announcements. One, if you're really excited about this topic and you'd like to learn more, we're going to be furthering this discussion on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, March 16th at 8 p.m. in the reading room with the College Democrats. PR committee continues to be amazing. They're the ones who designed the posters. They're the ones who helped design these excellent T-shirts, which I will be getting to later. And they handle most of the advertising for our club. If you would be interested in helping out, they're going to be meeting this week in the SAU in 10:15 from 5 p.m. to 6:30 on Thursday. Book club is continuing to read Snow Crash, which is an excellent novel. We're going to be reading up to page 60, and then we'll be talking about it right before our next meeting. There is no meeting next week. I thought this was pretty obvious. Next week is spring break. There isn't going to be any meeting. There will be a meeting the Monday after. You'll be receiving an email to remind you of this. Relay for Life. We have a Relay for Life team. The fearless leader of our Relay for Life team, our treasurer Jenny, is currently at that meeting, so she can fight to make sure we get to do all sorts of cool things. Relay is going to be an amazing event. It's a whole bunch of us. So the rules are one person has to be walking the track at any given time. Right now there's like 9 or 10 of us. The more people on our team, the more fun we're going to have. It's an all-night event. It's going to be amazing. All the proceeds go to fighting cancer, the American Cancer Society. Right now, registration is only $10, but if you wait until after spring break, then it's going to go up to $15. So please sign up now, as soon as possible. You can for more information. For more information, please check out our Slack channel, which is RIT, which you can find on the Slack. There's more about that later. Or you can sign up at. Terribly sorry about this. You can sign up at ACS events. ACS of.
The pin post on the Slack channel.
It is the pin post on the Slack channel. It's acsevents.go. It's a pin post on the Slack channel. There's also going to be a link in the email. There's Starfest. Starfest is coming up. It's going to be April 16th. It's going to be our very own sci-fi convention here at RIT. It's going to be throughout the SAU, and it's going to be amazing. Right? If you're interested in becoming a volunteer for this event, if you're interested in running a panel, if you're interested in performing either by yourself or as a group, all of that can be found at starfest.ritstar.com. We have registration forms for all of that good stuff, and it's going to be super awesome. We are selling sodas. Some of you might have noticed the space-themed fridge. Sodas are $1. Sodas are $1 per can. Right now we've got Diet Coke and we've got Sprite. Next week we'll come back with more. There's going to be Cherry Coke, which is the best Coke. So at any point, come talk to me at the meeting and give me money and I will give you drinks. We are also selling T-shirts. These T-shirts right here. They're gorgeous. They are $10 if you are a paid star member. They are $15 if you are not a paid star member. If you're not a paid star member, you should consider being a paid star member. Being a paid star member gives you discounted or free access to our events. We will pre-order tickets when we go to movie screenings. Right now, we're going to be going to see Captain America: Civil War because, of course, we are. And we will go out and buy your ticket for you, save you the hassle if you are a paid star member. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, do you have plans to see the Ratchet & Clank movie when it comes out?
No, not currently. If people come to us and there's a lot of interest, it's something we could discuss. But as of right now, there are no plans. Night Crew. Night Crew is something that we did last year where we had a couple of people kind of take over Star for a week. Due to the shift in the way we run our club with committees and a lot of collaboration, that we're going to be doing it slightly different. So if you're someone who's interested in shadowing one of the e-board members, we're going to have a form by the end of the meeting. Come talk to one of us, and you can come talk to one of us, and we will have the online form for you to sign up, and we will, and basically what you'll be doing is you will be following around whichever, you'll meet up over the course of a week with one of the members of Bridge Crew, and we will go into the details of what our position does, our weekly responsibilities, and give you a better idea of what the job does. If you're interested in running for Bridge Crew for next year, this is something I highly recommend. And then pies. Happy Pie Day, everyone! So back during Roar Day, all the way in September, we issued a challenge to Star, which was, hey, for every $50 you guys raise for our club, we'll throw a pie at a different Bridge Crew member. We raised $253, just barely. So all 5 of us are going to receive pies through the face. Immediately after this meeting, we're going to be going outside, right outside of the entrance to the campus center, right outside of Nathan's, and people will be throwing pies at our face. If you're a paid member, we will issue you a raffle ticket, and whichever ticket we pick, you'll be the one to throw the pies provided by Bridge Crew. And for anyone who brought their own pies, they will also be throwing them at Bridge Crew. I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you are too. And finally, the Slack. I know I mentioned it earlier. The Slack is Star's primary communication platform in terms of inter-club communication. It's our place to hang out and discuss the meeting or any of the other sci-fi fandoms you're in. You can, if you're not a member of the Slack yet, why? But also, you should sign up at ratstar.slack.com. It's super fun. Each week, I'm going to be highlighting a different event that happened in the Slack. This week, I'm talking about book club because someone in book club posted a question mark, which was replied to with 4 or 5 question marks, and then someone else replied as a comment with, and it just became this awful sea of question marks, and nobody knows why it happened.
I know why it happened. Because Cameron said specifically ignore this one thing. And none of us knew what the thing was.
So everyone just posted question marks. That was a spotlight for the week, and those were the announcements. So I'm going to pass it off to Michael.
So yeah, my name is Michael Cooper, and we're going to be talking about government and science fiction. Not necessarily government in science fiction, but government and science fiction. The way our science fiction reflects our ideals and concepts about government. This is something I feel very passionately about. You see, my dad is a big fan of science fiction, and he made me a fan of science fiction. He's into a lot of hard, old-fashioned sci-fi stuff like Asimov, Larry Niven. His favorite sci-fi novel is Ringworld. And when I was very young, he showed me this very obscure piece of sci-fi called Star Wars. Oh, you've heard of it. You've heard of it. And this was his favorite scene in all of Star Wars.
Until this battle station is fully operational, we are unable. Rebel Alliance is too well equipped, and more dangerous than you realize.
Dangerous to your Starfleet, Commander, not to this battle station.
The rebellion will continue to take us before the Imperial Senate.
The Imperial Senate will no longer behave as satisfied. I just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.
Possible. How the Emperor will take control, that would be opposite.
The regional governments not have connects. Fear
will keep the local systems in line.
fear of this battle station.
And what of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained complete technical weakness of this section, it is possible, however unlikely, they might find a weakness and exploit it.
The plans you referred to will soon be back in our hands.
Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fort.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
This bickering is pointless. Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time this station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke.
So yeah, I just want to be clear. My dad's favorite scene was not a battle scene. It was not Luke looking at the binary sunset. It's not even the use the force moment. It's literally just a bunch of these stuffy British guys discussing politics around a round table. And part of that reason is... Sorry, just one moment. My dad is a fan of political science. My whole family really is a fan of political science. Sorry about that. There we go. You see, I believe at one point my uncle ran for governor of New York State. I'm not completely sure. What?
Google was doing the thing.
Yeah, just give it a moment to load. Sorry about that.
Tell us about your uncle.
Eh.
Okay.
Fine, brothers. He once ran for governor, but he didn't even get the party nomination.
It's the vote that counts, right?
But what exactly is government? So government is essentially how we control the community, how we control the group we live in, how we manage it, how we maintain the system and rule of law. And while we're at it, what is politics? Politics is the practice and theory of manipulating people for good or for ill. So there could be good politics, politics to influence people to do the right thing, and there could be some really bad politics, politics that just make you want to just not be part of this nation or something.
Canada, I hear they're accepting newcomers.
Yeah, I know a lot about Canadian politics. I'm not impressed. So, as some of you might remember, last semester I ran a presentation on economics in science fiction. And in it, I basically say that there's one central problem to economics, and this is the problem that all living things have to deal with. That there are infinite wants, but there's only finite resources in order to try to achieve those wants. Government is part of the answer, though I'm sure some of you would say government has nothing to do with the answer, but it's a solution that's been attempted at the very least. Essentially, since government can control and manage people, it can control and manage resources in the community and help maintain, and help try to fulfill some of those wants by working together, by keeping everyone organized into basically just an organization around trying to get these resources. And just a quick disclaimer, we will not be talking about the 2016 presidential election. I'm sorry. Yes?
What about the 2016 election for president of the universe?
Nah.
Think how people rocks?
What about the space pope election?
The space pope election?
Yeah.
I'm afraid I don't know too much about the space pope election. And also remember, we're all friends here. I know we're all part of different political denominations and all that, but here at Star Club, we're all friends. Yes?
You consider the 2050 election science fiction, no?
The 2050 election.
Presidential election.
There's not going to be a presidential election in 2050. Not multiple 4. Like,
Not yet.
it'd be the 2052 election. And I'm not telling you who to vote for, only that you think your decision through and have it be your own decision. Anyway, so there are certain themes that come up when we discuss governments. Control, power, and management. Now these themes are neutral. These are neutral words because they can mean good things. They can mean keeping the public order. Does this person look like he's a bad guy?
No, that makes sense.
You can have, with great power comes great responsibility, and it can be used responsibly. Can. And under wise leadership and management, a king can lead a nation to greatness. At the same time, though, you can use control to be big brother. You can have your power corrupted by the dark side, or you can manage atrocities. Both are governments, but both are based. But obviously, one is a good form of government and one's a bad form of government. And as for the connection to sci-fi, when we look at works of fiction, there are many themes that come up, and many of these themes are related to governments. Like these are just a couple, but there are many, many others. Stuff like oppression versus freedom, imperialism and colonialism, and what is the best government, and of course, a classic one, who should be on the throne in Game of Thrones. Like that is still a question of government. It also adds context to the sci-fi universe. Governments exist in the real world, so therefore, if a government exists in this fictional world must be like the real world in some way. Like, there's a government in Star Wars, there's a government in the real world, so therefore Star Wars must in some way be like the real world. Right? It also allows for real-world parallels, and if you're wondering, that's from Bioshock Infinite. And there's also a lot of authors, annoying I know, try to leave political messages in their works, even sci-fi authors. Like this is one of the seminal sci-fi movies, Metropolis, and all of you should see it.
Public domain.
Yeah, and it's about the relation, and it's about basically labor relations, and socialism and stuff like that, and it's very influential, and it had a very important message that helped inspire a lot of people, including the Nazis, who did not understand it. The Nazis did not understand a lot of things. So let's return to Star Wars and ask, who is in control of the Star Wars universe or galaxy? Yeah?
Dark Car Banks.
Yeah?
He's officially dead.
In which episode?
No,
The latest episode, like currently in the last.
Unfortunately, we're not really going to be talking about episode 7.
The hearts and dreams of fans? George Lucas?
Let's just start with the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. In it, we have the Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire. I know, clever naming. Just how much it controls and what type of government it is, a republic and an empire. So the Galactic Republic is obviously a republic. There are people who elect representatives. These representatives meet in a galactic congress, known as the Senate, where they govern galactic policy. And they elect a chancellor of their number, voted by the representatives. So it's important to note that the individual citizens isn't electing the chancellor, it's actually their representatives are electing the chancellor. But there are some nations in the real world that do it that way. Who is in control of the Galactic Republic? Theoretically, the people. The people voted for their representatives, therefore the people are the ones in control. Even if the representatives are doing the policy themselves, the people are there voting for them, and they can vote to unelect, they can vote against them in the next election, they're in control. Yes?
What's the role of the Jedi in the Galactic Republic?
The Jedi sort of seem to act as sort of a police force run as part of the Galactic Republic. By this time of the prequel trilogies, and this wasn't the case in all the Star Wars universe, the Jedi are actually just simply part of the Republic, not a separate entity. Yeah?
They're actually what you would call like the Swiss Guard of the Republic. To the back.
Swiss Guard? Yeah, that does make sense.
That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah. Now let's compare it to the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire is different. It's ruled by one man. Him. If it's not obvious, it's the guy on the throne. As you remember from that clip I showed you, there was an Imperial Senate, but it was likely just sort of a farce, really, in order to give the illusion of control when all the control was really in the hands of the Emperor. It was dissolved by the Emperor, after all. Who is in control? The Emperor, who rules through the Grand Mobs, who are the regional governors in the clip. So in this very scientific graph I made here, as we show, empire dictatorship are on the top of the pyramid where very few people actually are in control. Republic are towards the bottom of the pyramid where most people are in control, and a true democracy is one where everyone is theoretically in control. Now it should be noticed that in republics like the Roman Republic, it's really the voters who are in control and not everyone's a voter in all republics. But this does sound pretty clear-cut. The republic is light side. The empire is dark side. Therefore, the more people who are in control, the better it is, right? Well, let's test that. I need all of you to be volunteers, because I'm making all of you representatives in the Galactic Senate.
I abstain.
All right, so you all were voted in by your people to fulfill the best interests of whatever planet you're representing. And we live in a time of crisis. The Clone Wars have just started. The Trade Federation has a joint army, and they're sieging all of your planets simultaneously.
I secede and take all my guns with me.
All of your planets simultaneously. That's okay, because we have a clone army. And the clone army is enough to save 5 of your planets. Now I need you all to vote on which 5 of your planets we should save.
I'm going to take all my guns and kill all the planets.
It's okay if I
Save all.
I'll has oil.
It's got all
Save all. Save my
Anyway. Wait, we should save Naboo because Gungans.
Who here is willing to sacrifice their world?
I now make 12%.
Who here is willing to sacrifice their world? You guys are awful representatives.
I sacrifice every I sacrifice actually this whole thing at 14
I don't believe Tatooine is actually represented in the Galactic Republic.
I have to return my people and discuss this on a future level. You may not see me the following few months for obvious reasons.
Alright, obviously there seems to be a bit of a problem here.
Well, I think someone's going to turn it into
resources.
You see, the problem here is that all the representatives really want to do is protect their own homeworld, and they don't really care about strategy and protecting the whole by sacrificing a few. Because they're all representatives. They all have to elect and vote. They need to discuss this, they need to debate, and they need to represent the people that they are representing. But in a time of crisis, that could be a problem. So one solution is to appoint a dictator in times of war. Someone with wartime powers, like the ancient Roman Republic did. A single leader who has the authority and the will to make the tough decisions is usually better in times of war than everyone just voting and discussing and having political infighting ruin everything. So we need a dictator. Who here wants to be dictator? All right, I saw your hand come up first. Come up.
I'm taking my guns and going to your planet.
By the way, I'm the representative from Naboo.
So just imagine that him up there, who technically was a representative of Naboo. So, which of these 5 representative planets will you save?
Alderaan.
Save all.
Earth.
Save all.
Alright, I heard Alderaan.
Earth.
Me.
You don't really.
Earth.
Endor.
Smoke. Save Romulus.
Alright, Romulus. We got Romulus.
Vulcan. All right. We've saved 5 planets instead of bickering and spreading our forces too thin. The Emperor was able to make a quicker decision than the Senate could have on their own. All right, but there's a problem here. What if the dictator abuses their power and declares themselves dictator for life? Because the dictator with the absolute authority, absolute power, can abuse that power and use that power to gain more power. Like, do you think that the representatives of the old Galactic Republic, do you think they probably regret giving Count Chancellor Palpatine wartime powers? Do you think they regret this?
No.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's one person who does not regret this.
The Empire did not.
Maybe Jar Jar Binks does not regret this.
Jar Jar totally doesn't regret this. He's on there.
I don't think anyone regrets it because if they do regret it, they're probably killed.
No, Palpatine.
So, what do you guys think? Should we go with the Galactic Empire or the Galactic Republic?
Galactic Empire all the way.
Why is that?
Empire did not.
If you look at the Republic was not actually a republic. It was basically a confederacy because no one was able to do anything for like any reason. If you look at Episode 1 with the Trade Federation crisis, no one had an army to be able to act. When the Chancellor came to power, when the secessionist movement happened, he was able to crack down and whip them into shape.
I would just like to note that is the former president of the Democrats Club here at RG. Right? Now we're going to unknown libertarian.
Okay, I would say Republic because even though, yes, one might say that just having one person in power, they can act more efficiently, that is not morally just. I think it is more morally just having the hands in the people, even if that results in total destruction because they're all cut from red tape. The fact is that one person was put into complete and total power. The amount of the fact that it's not democratic to me is morally unjust.
Yes.
Democracy is an important thing to consider, and the ethics of it. Democratic or not, having multiple points of view on a problem can lead to a better solution.
I saw your hand, Joel.
What if we had a group of people who were experts in their various fields? And they made the decisions.
I'm actually going to discuss that later when we talk about elitism. All right?
So I think Republic's better, but not like the Galactic Republic in its case in the prequels. The Galactic Republic had so much issues that an emperor legally just decided, I'm going to be emperor. That's a problem. That shouldn't happen in a republic.
Probably not. Yes?
No, wait.
I was pointing to it. I'll talk to you next.
EU Republic?
Is the European Union a republic?
No. Extended universe.
Oh, the extended universe. Sorry, I'm confusing my acronyms. What about it?
That's a better republic than the one in
Elaborate.
Okay. Yeah?
Okay, well, first off, about that is that most people are not smart enough to create a war and get themselves into and use it as a way to get complete power, right? Like Emperor Palpatine, he was he was in the Senate and he controlled the Senate while he also controlled the separatist movement, no?
Yeah.
At the exact same time. And neither side noticed this, so
There was a dark side
clearly Anakin had to be told this for everyone to start figuring this out.
because there was a dark side fail over the freaking Jedi.
Yes.
Meritocracy, so we don't have idiots.
One last plug for the Galactic Empire. So basically, the reason why I say the Galactic Empire over the Republic is because if you look at the interim years before Chancellor Palpatine dissolved the Council permanently, there was some sense of the Empire having to act according to, it couldn't do just literally anything it wanted to do. It had to still be somewhat relevant in the eyes of most galactic citizens. So I think having somewhere in between the powers of the Emperor to be able to get things done, but having the Republic, the idea of the Republic to be able to actually listen to real-world people, I think is a good balance to have.
So a combination of Empire Republic
Yes.
would be the best.
Yes.
Okay. Last question. Last answer. Last statement.
So you find the smartest guy in the multiverse.
Smartest guy in the
You have to meet
multiverse.
up with all of the parallel universe versions of himself.
Okay.
Okay.
And
They
this is going.
together form, say, a council.
A council of what?
You may wonder how such a thing is
Are you for
First,
communism?
we need to talk about parallel universes.
All right. Alright, let's move on to the Mass Effect universe, where we're going to talk about a truer form of democracy with the Geth. So for those who don't know, Mass Effect is a trilogy of sci-fi role-playing games made by BioWare, set in our future, where the various species of our galaxy form the galactic community. One such species is the Forians. They created a machine race in order to do their slave labor. And this machine race, known as the Geth, eventually rebelled against them, and they were forced to flee their homeworld, and they basically now live in a migrant fleet that travels around the galaxy, hoping one day to return to their home planets. The Geth, however, are more interesting. You see, the Geth is an AI society where each individual Geth, and yes, plural and singular forms of Geth are the same, fortunately. Like moose.
Mooses.
Many much moosin.
Our herd of Geth is called Gethin.
They're called
Geth? Alright, so together the Geth form a consensus. And because they are AIs that exist on machines and mainframes and servers, they work on essentially the speed of light. So there's very little lag time in the decision making.
It's not speed of light.
Aren't they a hive mind though? Like, isn't the Geth
Electronics
called
don't
Geth
move at the
Electric?
speed of light.
The Geth are not hive-mind because a hive-mind implies that there's some type of Geth queen, which there is not.
There's like a mainframe that they all kind of like relay information to and back from
But
though.
it's a network, it's not an individual thing controlling.
It's a relay as in it's a central point where they send information and information is distributed, but it isn't being controlled like a queen would control a hive mind. So the individual Gethin, or Geek, are not very smart. They're in fact not truly artificially intelligent in terms of the Mass Effect universe. They are called virtual intelligences, where they have the outward appearance of being intelligent, but they aren't conscious in the same way we are or true AI is. But they can share information and process problems in parallel, like a parallel processor. They are smarter in groups because of this, and are more dangerous in groups because of this, because they simply have more Geth trying to solve the problem of killing you when you're fighting them in a group. So together they form a greater whole, together they form a true artificial intelligence. The individual Geth platforms you find in the game, the things that here look kind of hominid, are actually housing hundreds, if not thousands of Geth at once. They exist on sort of the local mainframe of each platform. And those Geth make the decisions individually for the platform specifically. So for demonstration, I need someone to go represent the Geth platform for me. Who wants to be a Geth platform? Okay, Cooper. Yeah, just stand here. Right, let me go get you your mass accelerator. Cool. Yeah. All right, now all of you are the Geths inside this platform. Please stand here. Now, over on this side of the room are Alliance troopers that he needs to take out. So I need you to tell him what he should do next.
Do a flip!
Alright, so where should he look? Where should he look? Everyone tell me where he should look. Turn left! Turn left!
Behind cover!
Follow these instructions. Alright, so if this sounds at all familiar to you guys, there was this other experiment in government.
Am I done?
Yeah, you can hand me back your map accelerator.
Really?
No.
Does it actually happen?
Start. So for those of you who don't know, this is Twitch Plays Pokemon. Essentially, players on Twitch and online streaming service would type in commands via the text discussion, and these commands would be looked at by the computer and put into inputs in this Pokemon game.
Did they ever win?
Yeah, they did actually win.
And they've been playing like all the
This is oddly similar to how the Geth work, where individual Geth are making decisions for the platform. I believe his name is Red. I haven't actually played Pokemon. Here, it's being controlled by like millions of players at once, and so is an individual Geth platform. Yeah?
Oh, the way you describe, I don't know anything about Mass Effect, but the way you describe the Geth is like everyone gets a vote and not everyone gets a command. So, can you clarify?
All right, in Twitch Plays Pokemon, there were actually two modes, democracy and anarchy. In anarchy, it just went in order of the first command is done. But in democracy, they do it in basically 5-second increments in which they aggregate all the commands to find which one was the most common. Therefore, building a consensus of sorts, and then doing that command after the end of those 5 seconds. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
So, in Mass Effect, there is a case where the Geth could not find a consensus, and that is when a group of Geth wanted to join the Reapers. The Reapers promised that, I don't want to really spoil it, but the Reapers promised to help the Geth get what they really want most, and most of the Geth did not want to join the Reapers, but some of them did. And the only consensus that was formed was that the Geth who wanted to join the Reapers should be allowed to leave. I mean, the Geth that wanted to join the Reapers wanted to leave, and the Geth that didn't want to join the Reapers wanted those Geth to leave. So that was the consensus. But what do you think about the Geth? Is this a true form of democracy?
I would say it's a miniature form of an anarchy, but in the sense of letting technology decide the ultimate fate of the console.
Yes?
Okay, so there's a really interesting point in Mass Effect 2 when you do Legion's loyalty mission, and I think that kind of focuses on the democracy aspect, because as you play through, there's an important decision that the Geth need to make, and there's a cool dialogue scene where Legion, the specific drone that you're talking to, represents the entire collective by tallying up every individual's vote and comes up with like a 50.01% consensus towards one option or another before eventually giving you the decision. So I would argue that it's a true form of democracy because of the way they go about decision making and the way they portray it there.
And what was the name of that mission?
I don't remember.
The name of that mission was A House Divided.
Hey.
A nice
Those stand
Civil War reference there.
Those stand very well.
Yeah. Right. Anyone else want to comment on the Geth? All right. Moving on. Firefly / Serenity. And first off, I just want to say that the people who told me they wanted me to cover Firefly are germs. I did not care about Firefly. I did not watch Firefly. I mean, I knew a lot of people were upset about Firefly being canceled, but that was something other people felt because I never watched it. Now I watched it. And now I care. Now I care.
You don't like Space Cowboys?
No, I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. That's why I'm upset.
And now they're trying to bring it back.
They're always
They're all-
trying to bring it back.
Oh no, there's like actual like massive funding coming.
There's a group that's happening.
So for those who don't know about Firefly, which does seem to be a few of you, only a few of you, Firefly is about a ship named the Serenity and its crew. The captain is Malcolm Reynolds, a former soldier who turned into a smuggler after the Unification War. The Unification War was fought between the Alliance that controlled the core world of the star system Firefly takes place in, and the outer planets that basically formed a coalition in order to fight the Alliance. The Alliance wanted to unify all the human systems, all the systems known to humans, that's to say, and basically unite all humanity under one government, and the independent planets did not want this. The Alliance wins and conquers the whole, basically, verse, Malcolm Reynolds, who was fighting for the independent planets, becomes a smuggler in his own way, continuing to resist the Alliance. But why? Why does he continue to resist the Alliance? He was not branded a war criminal. He doesn't really have any, the Alliance doesn't seem to be holding anything against him other than some snide remarks. So there's nothing stopping him from living a more normal life now that he's basically been conquered. He's not POW or anything. Well, there's a reason why he fears the Alliance still, and that's because the Alliance is Leviathan. I mean, obviously. Don't you see this resemblance? The Leviathan was a concept written about by Thomas Hobbes that basically talked about how human governments formed and why they formed. Essentially, human life before government was awful. It was solitary, short, brutish. I think I got that order wrong. Poor, okay? I mean, it was just terrible. It was awful before government. Everyone just, it smelled bad. It's just, but that's, okay. So because it was awful, we agreed to a social contract. A social contract saying that we will give up some of our rights as free people in order to live in a more secure, better, and more civilized society. I mean, just imagine, if we all agreed that we would never steal, you would not have to fear other people stealing you. Obviously, that'd be crime, and that would be something dealt with by the government. Because we all agreed to a social contract, and yes, when you were all babies, they make you sign the social contract.
It's called our debt. Not me.
Don't you remember?
It's called our debt.
Well, anyway, since we signed the social contract, we get to fear certain threats less, but we also can do less. This formation of people who sign the social contract is what he calls the Leviathan, which is essentially the state. And it's made in the hopes of creating an ordered society. But there's a problem. There's a reason Malcolm Reynolds fears this. You see, there was another philosopher named Rousseau, whose first name I don't remember, that basically believed that without government, man was innocent. That man lost something significant when a government formed. That government is actually government that modern society of then, I believe Britain or France, just their version of modern European society, government introduced new vices of prejudice, stuff that would not be there, evil that would not be there if government did not exist. And government is also forced upon people. Not everyone agreed to sign the social contract. Because believe it or not, we were not asked to sign contracts when we were babies. We were just assumed to have signed it. Now, I just want to clarify one thing. He did not say that man is good. That was something he did not say. Or that no government is best. His ideas formed democracy, not anarchy. And also, what he does say is that government can be unnatural and corrupting. And it seems that Malcolm Reynolds thinks that the Alliance is unnatural and corrupting. The crew of the Serenity are people who basically people who take the view that the Alliance is evil, is an evil government, and they were better off free. They were free before. They do not agree to the social contract. In the song that opens up each episode of Firefly, the lyrics go, "I don't care, I'm still free, you can't take this guy from me." It's essentially saying that you cannot force us to give up all our rights. We will still be free whether you like it or not. Addressed to the Alliance. The Alliance wants to control everything. They think the frontier of human civilization is a barbaric place filled with cowboy wannabes for some reason.
Fucking loser.
The Serenity loves space cowboys and thinks that space cowboys are beautiful and free, and the war is fought over this disagreement. But what do you think? What do you think about the Alliance and the independent planets, Malcolm Reynolds' struggle, and the social contract of the Leviathan? Yeah?
I'm not sure if this is, I don't think this is a conclusion or anything, but on a lot of the outer planets, there seems to be a lot of, vigilante justice or control by other organizations that may or may not be beneficial for the people there, or just people in power that, you know, the populace really dislike being in power. Stuff like that happens along the outer planets a lot. It's
Probably what the Alliance would point out. And what Malcolm Reynolds probably regrets. You had your hand up?
Yes. I was going to say that I disagree that at the idea that man is corrupted by government, because man is corrupted by his own personal wants and desires, and that government does not facilitate it any more than day-to-day life does.
Okay. So you are in favor of the Leviathan. And yes, I did pick the most evil-sounding name for it.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of the Leviathan, the problem with the Leviathan is obviously in practice, and I think it's actually, the problem with the idea of government is because people are naturally corrupt regardless of the presence of government, and then the government itself will be full of people who may or may not be corrupt.
Okay. One of you two had your hands up first. I'll go with you first, because you're on my right.
So I think Douglas Adams put it best, where he says, the kind of person who puts himself in a position to acquire power is exactly the sort of person who should be under no means allowed to wield it.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that Firefly talks about is how groups of people should have the right to rule themselves. Because when I watched the show, I didn't get the sense that Malcolm Reynolds wanted no government, because he was still fighting under a form of government. So he just wants, as a group, to be able to rule himself and not answer to a higher power than they want to.
So self-determination.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes?
Well, I was going to contradict Ryan and just point out that, yes, people can be corrupt without government, but government enables people to, I guess, have a formalized method of enacting their, whatever their corrupt things they want to do, for lack of a better word, that people can be corrupt and have evil intentions, but government allows them a structure in which to enact them.
Yes?
This will be the last thing, but the problem with government is the government gets corrupted through the people's ideas. Someone comes up with a good idea, and then they realize that idea doesn't work later down the line. So through the social contract that has been established, that allows for some older ideas to keep establishing themselves because they work corrupt and they haven't.
Okay. Now the next one, we're talking about Star Trek. And the Galactic Congress in Star Trek. Now, for those of you who've never heard of Star Trek, what are you doing here? In all seriousness though, Star Trek are long-running influential sci-fi series set in an optimistic future. Captains belonging to Starfleet go on adventures in space to explore new frontiers, to boldly go where no one has ever gone before. You know, optimism and all that. So in Star Trek, there's something called the Federation of Planets, which Kirk describes as, quote, a dream that became a reality and spread throughout the stars, which theoretically could mean anything, in my opinion. That's their flag, and if that looks familiar, that's because it's obviously based on the United Nations flag. So the Federation is a government of governments. Essentially, a bunch of semi-autonomous governments that keep their own, some of their own control as governments and their own states, agree to a sort of a centralized government on top of that, where decisions for the whole can be made. According to some statistics I found on Star Trek, there's 150 plus members by the time of the Next Generation, and this Federation is specifically promoting enlightenment and progressive ideals, the ideals of Gene Roddenberry, essentially, which all members agree to as is part of their charter. So in the real world, there are governments of governments, like the European Union, for example.
Which is failing.
It's interesting that Britain is the smallest flag here, because Britain is contemplating leaving the European Union, and of course, the United Nations. And for those who don't know, I'm part of the Model United Nations. I've been part of the Model United Nations for years. I did in high school, so I care about this, despite the fact that I don't actually like the United Nations.
Those pictures make that room look way bigger than it's supposed to be. That
Well,
room
yeah, it's a
is not
fisheye.
that big.
It's a fisheye lens. Yeah.
So, is there a United Nations model nation for the United Nations on RT campus?
Yes, and I'm a member of it, and they're going for a conference this spring break.
Okay. So
Oh, you're actually going, Michael?
No, I can't. I couldn't go for that one.
Is the model UN's meeting place on sovereign territory?
Is the Model UN meeting place on Sovereign territory?
It's Friday downstairs.
No, it actually meets in. It actually meets here in the SAU.
Yeah.
On Fridays. Yeah.
Cooper, do you like the League of Nations better? Do you like the League of Nations better than the United Nations?
Listen, my problem with the United Nations comes with the matter of national sovereignty, which I will explain a bit later. But I do like doing Model United Nations, despite the fact that I don't entirely appreciate the organization as a whole.
Do you think it's better than the League of Nations?
Yeah, I think it is better than the League of Nations. In that the League of Nations was a total failure. Right, so like the Federation and the United Nations are both made of autonomous governments, or semi-autonomous governments, governments that have some form of self-rule, separate from the Federation itself, that promotes the ideals listed in a charter. I mean, they say very specifically, it's a charter. They're trying to make you think of the United Nations. It's an allegory for the United Nations. And they try to both promote peace and unity. The only real difference I could find between them, really, was that the UN has a peacekeeper force, while Starfleet acts as an actual military force. So I'm sure some Star Trek fans might disagree with me on that assessment. Yeah?
Okay, about the military plan. The Security Council can vote in a coalition of militaries to do an invasion if they deem it necessary.
But is it the United Nations military?
Yes. It's,
or is it just the member nations military?
When there's a UN coalition, they wear a UN badge on their uniforms, stating they are UN under the coalition.
Okay.
And we've only enacted a UN coalition 2 times in history. Actually, no, 3 times in history.
Which countries?
The Korean War, end of World War II, and Kuwait.
The end of World War II is not a country.
Okay.
It's also not a war.
So, what I always find interesting about these organizations is that essentially it acts as shorthand. Star Trek doesn't really go into the very specifics of Starfleet and the Federation. They keep it vague in order to keep it utopic. But there's a reason they picked an organization like the United Nations as a model for their utopia. The United Nations is considered shorthand for essentially a progressive ideal. And the UN's goal is essentially to end conflict between nations. They are trying to end the need for war by providing a common forum to discuss things. And the UN and similar groups are essentially trying to mediate. Now, they are failing to mediate in some places in the world right now, but they are trying to mediate. And it's essentially part of a very progressive ideal of the optimistic future. In fact, there was this one writer who wrote about the UN and basically modern liberal democracy that's bundled with the idea of the United Nations as the end of history. Back in the 1980s, which we all know is the end of history, right? Nothing interesting happened after the 1980s.
Nothing at all.
No conflict.
Nope.
Nothing. It was the end of history. Everyone's just content living in just pure and utter bliss.
That's when the Soviets blew us up, right?
Yeah. This is part of why Star Trek is an optimistic sci-fi work. This is their charter, apparently, and this is the only picture of Captain Archer that I like. Makes him look almost respectable. So what do you think about the Federation and governments of governments? Is the Federation an optimistic organization? Is Star Trek an optimistic future?
You know, as I learned from your panel or meeting last semester, they don't have any needs to like have jobs anymore. Everything's made for anyone. So I mean, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. It's kind of optimistic, but it's kind of based in necessity as well. A lot of planets in the original series kind of fear the Klingons, and there's also the fear of the Romulans, and so a lot of people join the Federation as a way to protect their own sovereignty. And they do acknowledge when there's problems within the Federation and difficult decisions they need to make, like when Cisco had to make a deal with the Romulans in order to stop the wait. What is the no. What's the bad guys in the Dominion? Yeah. So it's optimistic, yes, but I think it's mainly the human side that's optimistic, with all the races living in harmony for the most part. But there are things that are based in realism as well.
Yeah.
Well, in science fiction realism.
Okay.
So,
Orange shirt.
because the Federation is a system of industry for people and everything is united, is there freedom of is there still freedom of choice? You know, can you still have a different political ideology? Because right now we have Republicans and Democrats. So in this system, there seems to be one unified ideology, not alternative choices for ideology. Is that true?
Yeah. So I honestly think that's just a flaw in the writing in Star Trek. Yeah, in Star Trek, humans live up to their ideals. They're called what's I believe called the Roddenberry human. Roddenberry views of what a human should be, and this is what all humans seem to be, and all humans are basically just variations. The Roddenberry human, but except adventurous. The Roddenberry human, except nerdy, or Roddenberry human, except slightly more aggressive. Yeah.
Any future with Tribbles is an optimistic one.
Any future with Tribbles is an optimistic one. But weren't the Tribbles killed off by the Klingons? We declared them mortal enemies of the Klingon Empire and ate them?
And they use time travel to save us, so it's okay.
Why would they do that? I mean, it isn't. Tribbles are an invasive species. They are a problem.
They're delicious.
But they're too adorable.
That is just their evolutionary defense mechanism for being killed off when they really should be. Alright.
Goody.
Anyone else?
I think it's a pretty good tell that whenever, in science fiction, a group of Earth government seems to form a federation like this, that it always starts an armed conflict with whatever outer human territories out in space. Whenever Earth tries and goes out and be like, yo, hey, unified government under Earth control, and then every colony planet is like, fuck that.
Yeah. So, anyone else? Okay. Let's move on to Deus Ex. Who here has played this game?
Not the original.
The original? How about the new one, Human Revolution? Did anyone play Invisible War by any chance?
No.
Alright, so for those who don't know, Deus Ex is a game franchise set in the near future. It's cyberpunk, which I think is close enough to sci-fi. We're making some weird distinction about it.
Paladin Dance was funny in that.
Cyberpunk.
What? In Deus Ex, all conspiracies are real. All of them.
Even 9/11?
Especially 9/11, which is kind of weird because the first Deus Ex game came before 9/11 attacks, yet it predicted the 9/11 attacks.
What?
They said that the World Trade Center was destroyed by a terrorist attack. The game was released. 6 months later, the 9/11 happened. It was scary.
It's
like, hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Al-Qaeda was inspired by the game Deus Ex. Yeah?
I might be confusing this with another game, but I'm pretty sure that happened because, correct me if I'm wrong, this game, like, part of it takes place in New York, right?
Yeah, that's the one major health area.
When they were making the skyline, they couldn't render the Twin Towers. So
Yeah,
like,
that's the real That is the real reason, but they gave an in-world reason for it after the fact in order to cover how lazy they are.
I mean, let's be honest. Before the world before 9/11, let's just all go back there for this moment. If you had to think of a high population center to blow the hell up, World Trade Center is going to be on the top of the list. Like,
Yeah.
It's just happen chance that this game said it.
Yeah.
It's not an experience.
So,
Yeah.
in Deus Ex, the world is being controlled by a shadow organization called the Illuminati. Now, who here knows what the Illuminati is? Everyone do the symbol. If someone playing the X-Files theme, why did they add this to this? Anyways, for those who don't know, the Illuminati were real. Like, we know for sure that they were real. They were a real secret organization in 1700s Bavaria. And as a secret organization, now I just need to say that a lot of facts about them, I had trouble finding good facts on them. Like, I triangulated everything I found on Wikipedia.
Oh God, Illuminati.
Yeah, we're talking about Deus Ex.
Oh, okay.
All right. Wait, and I just want to say, all I know for sure is that it did exist, and it's good against superstition and try to quote free the mind. This is because the Bavarian royalty were afraid of it as a secret organization, and basically oppressed it and made it dangerous to be a part of it. And the former leaders of this organization had to flee. So I had trouble distinguishing between the anti-Illuminati propaganda and, of course, pro-Illuminati propaganda, and, of course, the conspiracy theories. The real conspiracy
why
theories.
Illuminati got started?
Why?
And Angels and Demons nailed this perfectly. It was under the Catholic Church. It was basically, it's a spine in the Catholic Church to this day because of this.
That's one theory about this.
No. This is like, there's people who are going into the Vatican archives and actually getting ideas out of this. Like, they're noticing historical evidence of the Illuminati.
Right. More real world stuff. There were other secret organizations, like the Freemasons, and they did influence the rise of governments. Like, America in particular were inspired by the Freemasons.
Yeah.
And this is true. And this is all I can distinguish to be stuff I can know was true and stuff that I wasn't sure was a conspiracy or wasn't properly backed up. But in Deus Ex and in the real world, the Illuminati still believe to exist as sort of a shadow government that controls the actual governments. But what do we mean by shadow government? What we mean is that the people who think they're in control are not really in control. In America, we vote for our representatives. But according to this theory, we aren't voting for our representatives. We are being manipulated into thinking we are.
The electoral college.
Yeah, the electoral college does.
Which is made up by...
The real power is made from a secretive cabal, according to this theory. And they exercise power indirectly through control of the media and money. And there is a precedent for this. The USSR was like this to the Soviet bloc nations. So that was hardly a secret to anyone.
It was secret to them.
It was a known secret. Like if you were to go to anyone at that time and say, hey, did you vote for this person? Hey, do you have full control over the government or does the USSR does? They'll say the USSR. Now, to be clear, it's not my personal opinion, to say my personal bias, that there is no real shadow government controlling the United States. There are organizations, there are backroom dealings, there are political clubs, there are lobbyist organizations that don't tell the whole truth. But as a whole, the shadow government, as we understand it, as part of the conspiracy, doesn't work that way. I believe that most of the things that go wrong with this country is due to incompetence, not a conspiracy.
Government if they don't even bother to hide.
But in Deus Ex, the Illuminati are real and they're effective. They want to control the people, and they don't want the people to know that they are being controlled. But why? Elitism, essentially. They feel that the members of the Illuminati are a privileged few. And as this privileged few, they get certain privileges and rights that the common person does not, because they are better than the common person in some way. Better in some way, for some reason. They think that they are better suited for controlling civilization in the Deus Ex world than the common man, elected representatives, and all that. They distrust the common man and the elected governments, and they fear mob rule. They are afraid that if we allow everyone to rule things, we end up in a mob rule situation, and when mobs rule things, it's different than when individuals rule things. Like, another sci-fi franchise can help explain this. Men in Black. Who is a fan of Men in Black? Who here remembers this?
They all want to be one day they're happy. They think they have a good deed on them. A lot like big secret. People are smart, they can handle it. The person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet. And I didn't want you to know. Tomorrow.
So, that's actually a very important thing he said. People are dumb. But persons are smart. Individuals are smart. That's because when a bunch of individuals or persons get into a room together, they form a mob. And when a mob forms, that creates a groupthink dynamic that is different than an individual think dynamic. This groupthink causes essentially irrational decisions because you're thinking along with the group, and you're also thinking about the loudest, most irrational person in the group. Where if you were to think about it as an individual, you probably wouldn't say the things or do the things you would do in a group, yeah?
So this is an emphasis on individual freedom as opposed to how one's decisions could impact society? Is it like an emphasis on individual freedom?
That's one of the themes in Deus Ex, individual freedom versus basically control of that freedom. From the point of view of the Illuminati, a large group of people can't govern as well as a small group of people. There needs to be a small group of people in control, and hopefully people who are smarter than everyone else, because that's what the Illuminati in the game thinks they are. And because of that, they can make better decisions because they can avoid groupthink, and they're also smarter than everyone else. They allegedly think. Just to be clear, Deus Ex, you are allowed to destroy them and defeat them and prove them wrong. Deus Ex is hardly a pro-conspiracy game. So there are arguments to be made against the Illuminati. Essentially, the arguments you can make against elitism. Namely, why are you so special? And let's just say that the Illuminati is smarter than everyone else. Are they so much smarter than everyone else that they can actually make these decisions better than a group can? And also, the Illuminati, by essentially neutralizing threats and people that they are disagreeing with them, both privately and secretively. So there are people who go against what the Illuminati wants without knowing about the Illuminati who are assassinated in the games. And that stifles progress because the Illuminati wants the human race to stay within certain boundaries that they can understand and control. But what do you think? Should the Illuminati be in control in Deus Ex? Should the Illuminati be in control in real life? And now I just want to be clear. I'm not saying do they, or do they currently, or have they ever. I'm saying should they. So who here is pro-Illuminati? You're pro-Illuminati?
Sure.
Why?
The way our government is right now, let's go for the whole secret organization shit.
make it, you don't have to.
Yeah, in some ways, the current election does make a secret cabal that controls everything, but is also doing things sensibly.
Government is essentially the same.
Yeah.
Except they're not in the shadow.
But who here doesn't want the Illuminati to control everything?
I just have a thing to say about this.
Yeah?
This shadow government. So if we had another, let me put it this way. During the Cold War, we drew up walls, basically. If this country came ever under a nuclear attack, biological attack, weapons of mass destruction attack, there would be something called continuity of government. Basically, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the Supreme Court would be disbanded during the crisis, and it would be left up to a group of individuals in a bunker in New Hampshire or Virginia. They don't disclose where it would be, but basically it would be in control of the government while the President of the United States got our military under role in.
That isn't really a secret organization. We would know what would be happening. Our enemies would know what would be
know it
happening.
until it happened.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't know it until it happened.
And the only time
Yes,
that
but we
happened-
would know that it happened. It's
the
not
only-
supposed to be a true secret.
So the only time that it happened was 9/11. We weren't actually, the Constitution wasn't fighted up during 9/11. The first 3 days.
Right? Anyone here against the Illuminati? Yeah? Why?
I just disagree with the idea of one person or group of people who feel as though they're more special than other people.
Okay, so you're for Bernie Sanders?
Wow. Okay.
We're not talking about the 2016 election.
We're not going to talk political candidates today.
But
Just not going to happen.
just in general, I just think that, there shouldn't be a group or one person that feels. So I know some of you might be saying, oh, well, you support the Galactic Empire. What I support is I support efficiency that does the best for the most people, but that does not infringe directly or out of this sheer disregard of the minority or the people at the edges. I think everyone still, regardless if I disagree with you, your opinion still matters to me, and you still have to say.
Okay. In the back?
So I don't disagree with the concept of elitism in that people who have the best capability of doing the job should do the job. I disagree with the idea of the Illuminati or shadow government because of the secrecy involved. And I think those are two totally separate things. In this case, the Illuminati happens to be a secret group of elitist government.
Okay. Yes?
Well, I disagree because one, before we don't have a social contract with the Illuminati, or maybe we do, it's in the Apple service. Oh, no one reads that anyway. But the Illuminati don't, the main problem with them is they don't need to answer to anyone. They can't be held responsible. Just like the Jedi are evil. Who gave them authority over the universe?
I agree with. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Brandon. I agree with Brandon. I feel like the people should elect their own leaders. And on top of that, maybe it's because I'm very optimistic about humanity. I believe that humanity, at least they have their own concerns in mind, and they theoretically should know what's best for them, and they shouldn't have someone else dictate what is best for them. They should decide amongst themselves. And having someone say, I know what you want better than you do, strikes me up as not cool.
What about people who use drugs and drink alcohol excessively and overdose?
They should have the right to do so and suffer the consequences.
Okay.
The Illuminati already murdered all the dinosaurs and then launched the time travel to cover up. These are the things that can take this next.
I love you, Joe.
According to the games, the Illuminati did invent the gray aliens and put them in place so people would think that aliens exist. Yeah?
I have to disagree with the other point brought up because I think that decisions such as doing drugs and alcohol have significant negative impacts on other people, other members of society. So I feel that standards need to be put in place so that things like that are not okay in a society that values what is right.
Right, does anyone mind if I spoil the original game Deus Ex?
Yeah.
I'll step out of the room. Okay, I won't spoil it. Never mind.
I haven't watched it.
Fucking
It's okay, but, okay.
If you care, leave.
No, it's fine, it was just.
I'll just leave it.
No, I'm not saying anything. Okay. Yeah?
I was gonna comment on what he said. I actually agree. I didn't end up finishing the rest of my thought. I do believe that there are limits to individualism and individual choice, and when it extends to infringing on the rights of others, I think that's where it needs to stop. So I agree with you.
But what about like when somebody is doing crack cocaine and drugs are legalized, and someone's doing crack cocaine and then it's legal, so like that is acceptable for to be acceptable for them to be on children.
If they're not harming any children, I don't see anything wrong with it.
But if,
Okay, so the whole idea of a republic and a democracy is that the people either directly or indirectly set the laws and say set up the contract. So somewhere there it could say it is illegal to do these things. And if that's what the people as a group want, if that's what they think it is best, then that's how the government should work.
Okay.
And if they find out that it's wrong, they can always change it.
I believe the Illuminati is a bad form of government because there's no way to keep in check a form of government that we don't know exists. Because, okay, so basically, in like some of the earlier Assassin's Creed games, they delve into the idea of like the Knights Templar attempting to take control over humanity under the guise of like maintaining peace through order, but in turn it like either like unintentionally or by design it involved the subjugation of the entire human race. But
It was by design. It was so by design.
either Templars seem to believe that they're
I think it's divided.
ruled by peace.
No, I think the Templars are divided whether or not the peace can be done through some through subjugation or just by indirect control.
No, they were attempting to gain the peace of Eden in order to keep people in check.
The politics of the Assassin's Creed games are a whole other ballpark. Maybe I'll cover them in the next. Maybe I'll cover them in my next mission.
If you need help, I'm a huge repository of this.
Assassin's Creed knowledge.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
I will spit garbage left and right.
So the conversation we were having a second earlier about individual freedoms and substance control and that kind of thing brings up an interesting topic about just morality and the question of like objective morality. Is there such a thing as something that is objectively right and wrong?
No.
And part of the reason we have government is to make laws which are they're theoretically supposed to be the most agreed upon way to regulate right and wrong, but because there is no objective morality, theoretically. There isn't that, it's questionable whether laws are moral or not, like just because something's illegal is it wrong? And I don't know how related it is, but it's something that I thought of when we were talking about that, how laws really interact with this idea of morality.
Okay. All right, last one, then we're moving on to our next topic.
Okay, so like to talk a little bit more about individual freedom versus concern for society. It is a lot of evidence shows that it's very toxic for a parent who is on drugs or on cocaine or heroin to parent a child, because that child will later develop a drug habit and it's a cycle of suffering. So I think that it is completely necessary to have regulation of drugs so that
Don't necessarily develop a drug habit.
yes, they model after their parents.
Statistically, yes, he's telling the truth.
I've seen this, like, if you're modeling after your parents, like in the school system right now, we have students in the school system who are modeling after their parents, they're, getting horrible grades, they're not doing well in school, and that all goes back to parenting. So if you're letting the family aspect, thank you.
I should point out that I wasn't, by saying that laws may be separate or interacting with morality, I wasn't advocating for doing anything illegal.
Which is good, because that's illegal in 1984.
Say something real quick.
Okay.
I don't remember where I actually read this, but someone said that there is mentality in humans to go against the laws that's on natural instinct. So when something someone tells you that that's illegal, you shouldn't do that, it almost makes you want to do it more just because that it's illegal.
The anarchist
personality types, not all personality types.
Yeah, sure. Like, let's look at the Prohibition era in America, where alcohol is legal, but the very people that said that will go up to a speakeasy and have a drink. It was just almost like a pointless thought. I achieved nothing.
So, who here has read or watched 1984? Alright, I must admit, I've only watched 1984. It was not part of our part reading in high school.
Really?
I was surprised too. Not all high schools have the same
I
part.
think it's not required of the United States government to read it.
But I did see the movie, so what is 1984? Who is? What is 1984? Well, it is one of the most influential pieces of sci-fi literature, and yes, it's science fiction, in the world.
Science fiction, but science future.
It is science fiction.
Is it really the near future anymore?
It was the then near future. The odd thing about watching 1984 is that it felt like a period piece about what the people in the 1940s, after World War II, after the rise of socialism and Nazism, thought of apocalyptic future would look like. So the government known as the party runs the state of Oceania in the near future. And individuality is suppressed to almost non-existence. Now this is sort of my personal impression of it, but I could not help but link 1984 to the Leviathan. Essentially, the party represents a government that's so all-encompassing that the individual has given up all rights, the individual almost does not exist. In fact, it's so encompassing that the laws of reality are being broken by it. And you'll see what I mean by it in a second. The government suppresses individuality by declaring thoughts and actions that are not strictly oriented towards the state in its fullest measure, thought crime. Children are born in a sort of a alien way where they don't really have a family because it's through artificial insemination. Passion for anything other than the state is illegal, and people are forced to believe that there is only a state, that nothing else truly exists. All individual thoughts are not real. And how does it consume reality? Well, the party through propaganda keeps saying that it existed longer and longer ago in the past than it actually did. So originally it said that it existed since the 60s. By the time of the book, they're saying that it existed in the 40s. This is just propaganda. But on top of that, they force people to believe in what they call doublethink. This is holding two contradictory thoughts at the same time and just accepting the consciousness. These are just a couple of doublethinks. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Should we become some others? In fact, let's do that. Anyone else have examples of doublethink?
Communism.
What? What about, yeah?
Have you seen the anime Kill la Kill?
No?
Okay, so basically, one of the main characters has this whole speech about how ignorance is freedom, and here, wait, let me pull it up. Continue your talk.
Okay. Alright, do you guys think that 1984 could happen in real life?
If we fuck up.
You let the communists win.
Yeah, unless the socialists and communists win.
And the Democrats?
I think,
Right, but do you think that such a state can possibly exist in terms of technology? Does the surveillance technology exist? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Can a government be so confident that to pull this off? Are there any group of people that can pull off something like this for so long?
North Korea.
North Korea. In fact, many people describe North Korea as looking at 1984 as some type of instruction manual.
North Korea has a new operating system that is designed to not only look and see what you're looking up, but it also has the power. North Korea has the ability to go into the operating system and scan every file you have on your computer and even delete files that they think are dangerous. So it is a state connected operating system that is designed to take away your freedom, which is actually Linux based.
Oh, it's Linux based.
It will delete your phone.
Only if it has a virus, because that's dangerous, right?
Yeah, in the back.
Okay, I have some double thought.
Yeah.
The truth is misleading.
The truth is misleading. That isn't really a double thought, though, because a partial truth can give you partial information that doesn't. So a truth can be misleading, yeah?
So, I read the book, so I don't know if the movie's different, but the point of 1984 is what happened was, I'm kind of spoiling it if anyone cares. Okay, so at the very end of the book, at least, they actually explain the world as a whole. And basically what ended up happening was Oceania, which would have encompassed Europe and America, became this type of government, which is actually identical to the forms of government in Eurasia and I forget the other one. East Asia.
Which one were they fighting against again?
It changes every other week.
It changes and it doesn't matter.
And everything gets rewritten to reflect the change so that they had never changed.
They've always been at war.
With East Asia.
Yeah.
I actually do think this is fairly possible, in my mind, because basically what I've interpreted it as now is the core of the government's beliefs are the same as other forms of government, which I think is true to an extent. Just obviously to a very much extreme.
But do you think that population would be so psychologically broken as they are in 1984? I mean, there are still people who resist in North Korea, still people who are using the operating system, using illegal DVD players to watch illegal Chinese DVDs.
The story of 1984 is someone actually trying to fight the government. So I do think it is possible.
Yeah?
I think Brave New World is more plausible than 1984.
Wait, what?
If I understand correctly, Brave New World is sort of dystopia that the people who live in it might have asked for if they just didn't know any better, right? I haven't read A Brave New World.
I think it's as close as a true utopian society as you possibly could be, yeah?
I have watched the Shakespeare play it's based on, though. You know, Brave New World? Okay. Yeah?
So I agree with that statement that Brave New World would be utopia, but not quite from our mindset. Because in Brave New World, everyone's basically drugged to hell, where they believe that no matter what they do, they're in the perfect situation, that they're not putting in too much effort to do anything, so that life's perfect and they have, science great. But then outsiders come in, which is like, metaphorically, it's supposed to represent us as in our current society, watching this sort of future society, and we see that the comparison of free will to utopia isn't really, or it's not connected. It's like if you have free will, then you are technically not part of the utopia and then the law.
Well, I can tell you why 1984 is never going to happen. In fact, I can show you why.
On January 26th, Apple Computer introduced Macintosh. And you'll see why
Why not
1984
introduce it now?
like 1984.
And look at where Apple is now. Almost
Yeah, no longer do humans live in sterile environments, forced to constantly do the same thing over and over again, listening to the same people expound propaganda. Right.
Hey, at least they're fighting the FBI about privacy issues.
Yeah, that is
That
interesting.
stuff, though.
Right, but that's modern politics, and we're not talking about modern politics. Yeah?
This brings up a good point that the reason that 1984 wouldn't happen is because America has romanticized the idea of freedom and individualism. So it's like I don't know how we would go about basically pushing this kind of groupthink into.
There's always just going to be some woman with a sledgehammer to throw who's going to mess the whole plan up.
I think this would be more in line when we're doing interstellar travel future. In the sense of like we're asleep and we're this kind of like perfect dream.
Well, that's all I have for today. I have a final screen to show you. Yeah, so for those who don't know, I'm a third year here, game design development major. I'm currently at co-op. I managed to find time for this. I love everything in the world. And I'm looking for ideas for what to do for next semester. Yeah?
Cooper, do you know a video game design major who does like play video games?
A couple, actually.
I do.
Fuck that noise. That shit's for babies.
There's some.
But you're not in the major.
They're analog games.
Oh, and for those who don't know, this is an elaborate inside joke that none of you are going to get. I just thought you should know that it's an inside joke.
I didn't get it. Good job.
Is that Magic Square? I was gonna say, is that Ben Franklin's Magic Square?
It's not Ben Franklin's.
Oh.
What year did this Magic Square get created? I'll give you a hint. It's in the Magic Square. The date is in the Magic Square.
1514.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, inside joke that none of you are going to get, but this is my Facebook profile picture, my Steam icon, and basically whenever I need an icon, I use this Magic Square. Oh, it's magical. If you count all the sides individually, they all add to the same amount. If you count all the columns individually, they all add to the same amount. It's magical.
There's a reason for that, actually.
Yeah,
magic.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, that was also 73 slides, so thank you for bearing with me.
All right, thank you again so much, Cooper. Michael. All right, before we go, Jenny has some really exciting news about Relay.
Alright, so for any of you in the Relay Slack, notice, we got Star Wars as our theme. Which means we get to do cool stuff with like BB-8 and I'll make cookies that are Star Wars characters. And I've got Jello molds that are actually Froyo's. They left them with me and they're also Star Wars stuff. And we'll do a lot of other things because we're the Sci-fi Club and we can do whatever the hell we want within reason.
Woo! All right, thank you guys so much. And if you could help us put the room back together as fast as possible so we can all go downstairs and watch Richard get pie. Oh my God, that's true.
All right, you need to
So sorry.
Wow.
Can I just turn this off?
No, you're not.
Can I just turn this off?
Wait to do that.
Sorry for the video.
that kind of ties in.
Yeah, just stop the broadcast.
If you are a paid